Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So today's video is going to be a few topics. So in my last video, I had talked about shunning and basically how this is nothing new. This is a tool that this rebel energy had used since the rebellion, is basically anyone who did not follow his rules, even if they didn't make sense, were basically exiled, casted out of the group. Okay. So he made himself God, basically, the Almighty. And he was truly, at this point when he rebelled, evil. But what he did, and he's done it throughout many writings, not just the way the canonical Bible was put together, but many ancient writings, he spun things to make, as I said, these different energies who are truly good, many of the Baals. He spun these stories to make them evil, bad, wicked, when he himself and the ones that supported him were actually the evil ones. Now, this is exactly how not just religions, but this entire system, this world operates. These ones that are supposedly good are really the ones you have to be cautious of, because it's not just religions, like I said, it's this whole society. There are ones that are supposedly good who, when all of these bad things happen, they come in with the solution to fix it. But all along, they're working together, because you can't have all these bad individuals who have no regard for humanity as a collective, but only their own selfish gain, showing their true faces. Okay? So, I had already mentioned, like in Isaiah 5:20, that things that are basically good. I'll read that. Isaiah 5 verse 20, where it says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." So that's basically what we see today. Now, this is kind of vague, so if you read this, you wouldn't really truly understand the meaning behind these scriptures. However, once again, I'm going to go to the Gnostic Gospels, and in the book of Philip, and it's on page 76 of this one, here it clearly says what we're dealing with now, okay? It says, "The dark powers wanted to deceive man, to confuse his relationship with the truly good. They took good names and gave them to the bad, so that with these names they might bind them." There it is in a nutshell. That's what you're dealing with today. You have all of these dark powers who have taken good names, good beings, and made them bad, and then made themselves the good. So, of course, the world's going to be confused and in chaos, because when you have basically a ruling class that is truly evil, creates religions that are based on evil, how do you think good is going to come from that? Now, I mention this also because I talk about not judging, because most humans have just a small fraction of insight into the bigger picture. So you do not have the right to judge. You don't. Another example, just like I said, Cain and Abel. Now, Cain basically got this horrible name for being the first murderer in the Bible. Now, he was a murderer, don't get me wrong, and that is never okay. But why I say be careful about what you think you know. is look at the events surrounding what Cain did. No one considers this. For those of you who need their memory refreshed. Okay. Now remember I said that this Lord, God, or Satan or Yahweh had created his own humans from the DNA of basically the remains of angelic humans. But he altered it as well with various animal DNA and whatnot. But what's going to happen is you're still going to get a variation throughout the offspring of these ones that he created. And this is what happened with Cain. So Cain still had that, basically that desire, that longing, his inner being to give honor to source. He got that. So that was his variation. It wasn't one that this Lord God wanted, but he did see it in Cain. And this was a source of frustration to this Lord God or Yahweh because he could not get Cain to do the things that he could get his brother and even his parents to do. So, as much as Cain, you want to judge him as being a murderer, this and that, he was put in an environment just like many of us were, where everyone around him was doing something that was against what his heart would allow him to do. Why do you think here Cain had brought fruit instead of a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice? Because this was actually honoring Source, the Divine Mother. If you research ones that would worship the Divine Feminine, grain, fruit, vegetables, things like this would be something that would be acceptable to honor her with. This is what Cain was doing. So, of course, in Genesis chapter 4, and I'll read that, it says in verse 3, in the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground. Now, you know the Lord would not like this because he wants blood sacrifices. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had no regard, basically, for Cain and his offering, but had regard for Abel and his offering. Now, put yourself in Cain's situation. This is why I said don't judge people because you don't know their upbringing, what they've endured in life to bring them to maybe their lowest point. And that lowest point may be where most people judge them. It's just that singular thing, not all the good they've done in their life. But here, he's basically rejected by this God who won't accept his offerings. His family is like, you're an outcast because you're not doing what the rest of us do. So you get in a situation where you're so frustrated that maybe, yes, you do something you regret, but that doesn't make you that act. That is not a final judgment on your character or your personality. And I say this because I want you to also remember that. Some of you may have done things that you are not proud of, but that doesn't make you that person for the rest of your life. And that's exactly why Source forgives, as well as the ones who are also watching and helping on behalf of Source. We understand more than just what you see. But it's also necessary sometimes for us to remove certain individuals who have that good heart from situations and circumstances that they truly don't belong in and do not serve them and their greater good. So even though Cain was exiled, it was a good thing for him because then he was able to actually go outside of the environment that literally was turning him into a toxic individual. Now, many of you who were Jehovah's Witnesses or in any other cult or religion or organization that was a toxic environment for you, but maybe you did not realize it at the time. You may have thought you were kicked out unfairly, but it was actually a protection for you because you were in a place you truly did not belong. And if you stayed there any longer, it would basically start to put out your light. So this is why I'm mentioning all of this, because sometimes you don't understand why certain events happen, but it's you being protected. But it's also why I say don't judge, because so many things have been twisted and manipulated to make one's feel a certain way about certain energies and beings and all of this, that you really have to take a step back, look at the entire situation, and also, once you understand source and what love truly is, you can come to your own conclusions as to whose fruitage bears that love, basically. Who is truly showing love? Who's truly trying to be for peace, love, unity, harmony? So that's also why there's many who want to argue, no, Jesus said this, Jesus did that, Jesus did this. You're going against what he taught, this, that, and the other. No, I'm not. I know exactly what he said and what he taught and what he meant by different things. So I don't argue with ones who supposedly know better than me. And it's not because of arrogance. It's just, it goes back to that saying that you don't throw pearls before swine. I don't get upset. I don't get angry. If people truly want to know questions, concerns, whatever, I'm here for them. But if you want to be disrespectful, if you want to prove a point that I already know 100% without a doubt is false, I'm not going to waste my energy and engage in that type of conversation. I'm not. It's a waste of my time. I have more important things to do and people that can be helped. Um, Again, I'm not here to encourage you to worship anybody, including Jesus, because that's not even what he wanted. That's not what Source wants. It goes back to him teaching principles and truth in order to set you free, not to gain worship. But this is what religions want you to believe, that you have to worship Jesus or this God or that God, or you're going to be punished and destroyed. Love doesn't do that. This is also how you become free once you realize who Source truly is. And I don't refer to Source as God because, like I said, there's many gods. And to put Source in the same category as these gods and lords just would not do her or it justice. So that's also what I wanted to say. It is not that you need to worship any of these beings and ones that I'm talking about. But once you understand, you will naturally have honor for them. Honor does not equal worship. This is why Jesus actually said to honor your father and your mother, because if you know, truly know, the source from which you came, and you honor that source, or sources as splits, you will honor yourself. And once you honor yourself, you will not allow others to dishonor you in any way. That includes religions and other organizations that are set up to enslave you and take away that precious gift of free will. Okay, that's it for today. I'm still in the process of moving, so things are chaotic around here and whatnot, but I know once everything is over, it's going to be for the greater good, obviously. All right. I love you all. Stay well and peace be with you. Bye bye.